Hello, following on from the Monday video about monk feats, I thought it would be cool to do a monk. The monk is one of my favorite classes, as I said. I just like the concept of punching things in a world full of dragons. It tickles me in an entertaining way. And there are some serious buffs that the class got between the 5 and 5.e revisions, which make the monk a lot stronger than it used to be by very large margin. Along with that, we get some really cool third-party subclasses as well, so I thought I'd show one off today. Let's just go through the basics as we always do. We're going to go with the criminal background because the alert feat is really good for monks. Being able to get in first is always handy. Lucky is also good, so is Tavern Brawler, but I don't love Tavern Brawler as a concept for monks. It doesn't always fit. We're going to boost our dex and our con. Monks are tricky because they are mad. They're multiple ability dependent, but we'll get into that in a second. For our species, I'm going with the Plagueborn, which is a Crooked Moon species, which is a little rat guy, basically, and it fits because we're going for a plague-based monk subclass as well. You get to be small or medium, so I've gone for small because it is funny to me. Standard speed, but you also get climb speed, kind of gets eradicated because monks. You get advantage on poison and whatnot, dark vision, a skill, and you can also poison a creature basically, but it's not really relevant to the build. Our stats will eventually look like this, which is very silly as you can see, but we're starting off with 8, 17, 16, 8, 15 and 8. Love the number 8. Dex is our primary stat, wisdom is our secondary stat, and we're putting a few points into constitution as well because con is good. Let's go through it all. Sticking with level 20 as I have been doing, it just makes keeping everything intact easier for me. At level 1, you get your core monk traits. You can take whichever ones you want. For damage and for defense, we get martial arts, which lets us use a bonus action unarmed strike. We also get to roll a 1d6 for our damage and use our dex instead of our strength for our unarmed strikes. We also get unarmored defense, which gives us an AC of 10 plus our dex and wisdom modifiers, which at this point is a 15, which is fine. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. At level 1, between the main action attack and the bonus action attack, you're doing 1d6 plus 3 twice, which is 6.5 times 2, which is 13. So 13 damage on a first turn in our first level is actually quite respectable, although you are using both your action and your bonus action. Monks have a lot of bonus actions they can use, with more being added straight away at level 2. We get a boost to our movement speed thanks to unarmored movement, and we also get the ability to not only get key points to spend on things like Flurry of Blows or Patient Defense or Step of the Wind, also the ability to use those without actually spending focus points on them, which is incredibly cool. Massive buff because it means you can actually disengage just for free basically. You also get the Uncanny Metabolism, which allows you to regain your 2 focused points at this point. You get 1 per level from this point onwards. You can regain all of your focus points when you roll initiative once per long rest. You also regain some hit points as well, which is really very good. It gets better and better as you level up with more focus points, but it's still good here. The main thing we're going to be doing for the stats here though is we will be using our Flurry of Blows as our bonus action. That's what I'm assuming you will be doing. Damage is based on that, which means we're adding another hit to our roundup here. So we're hitting 3 times at level 2 for 19.5 damage, which is very respectable indeed. At level 3, we get Deflect Attacks, which is a fantastic reaction. It eventually evolves into Deflect Energy. I recently killed a big old creature with it with my own level 17 monk who just leveled up to 18, which is truly absurd stuff you can do at that point. It's a great ability. It lets you absorb bludgeoning, piercing or slashing damage basically, and if you can reduce the damage to 0, you can also spend a focus point to attack something within range. We're going for the Warrior of Pestilent Haze, which is also a Crooked Moon subclass. This is a subclass all about having an inborn plague within you basically that you're spreading around for whatever reason. It gives you access to a miasmic plague, and it gives you some roleplay concepts here as to what it looks like or what it could be. I like the idea of a monk who comes to accept the plague within them as being part of them rather than separate from them. I like that as a roleplay concept, but you can do whatever you want. Could be a healer when things have gone horribly wrong. It really depends what you want, as does anything of this kind. The 2 main features here are Contagious Discipline is also a big part of the subclass. We get Claws of Pestilence, which lets us change our unarmed strikes to slashing damage instead of bludgeoning, which can be useful. And when you hit a creature with an attack granted by your Flurry of Blows, you deal an extra necrotic damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die. So it basically close to doubles your damage with your Flurry of Blows. You also get Miasmic Plague, When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can expend 1 focus point to force the creature to succeed on a con save or be cursed for a minute. While cursed, the creature becomes poisoned, and it takes extra damage from your unarmed strikes equal to 1 roll of martial arts die, but it can only take that 1 time per turn. It can also repeat that at the end of each of its turns. You can also not spend a focus point if you choose to forego the extra damage from Claws of Pestilence instead, which is a nice way of making your focus points go a little bit further. You also get Gift of Pestilence, which lets you communicate with vermin and gives you resistance to poison and necrotic damage too. The damage here is a fairly sizable buff, because effectively what we're doing is we can add an extra 3d6 to our setup. So you're getting 1d6 from the Miasmic Plague and 1d6 from the 2d6 from the Claws of Pestilence, which puts us up to 30 damage at this point, which is very tasty. At level 4, I've chosen to go for Grappler. Grappler is an incredibly good choice for any monk that wants to be using unarmed strikes, which is most of them. It allows you to boost your dex, so we're boosting our dex to 18, and it also allows you to, when you hit with an unarmed strike, also grapple and do damage at the same time, and then you get advantage on all attack rolls by a creature that you also don't have to spend extra movement to move a grappled creature if they're your size or smaller. The advantage is fantastic, obviously, but so is the ability to just move creatures around. It can be really, really good if you're playing on maps with a lot of environmental hazards. Dropping an enemy into a chasm is always a good feeling, so it's a good one to take. And because it boosts our ability score by 1, we do get a nice little damage boost of 3 here, which isn't amazing, but it's a 10% damage boost, so we're up to 33 at this point. Level 5, we get Stunning Strike, which doesn't work like it used to. You can only do it once per turn. Costs a focus point to use. They either are stunned if they fail the con save, and because it's a con save, they are quite likely to succeed, unfortunately. But even on a failure, even on a success, their speed is halved until your next turn, and the next attack roll made against the target has advantage as well. You also get extra attack, which is obviously the big one here, which boosts our damage up to 47.5. It also boosts our martial arts die from d6 to d8, which is why the leap is quite large at this point. Level 6 lets us change our unarmed strikes into force if we want, but it also gives us the potent plague, which allows us to ignore resistance to necrotic or poison damage that we're dealing. It also gives us Tolling Censer, which lets us, as a magic action, release a 20-foot emanation. All creatures in the area must make a con save. On a failed save, they take damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die, and they get cursed by your miasmic plague. On a successful save, they only take half as much. This is really, really good if you're surrounded, but it's quite a hard sell otherwise, purely because you're wasting 2 focus points, theoretically, that you could be using on Flurry of Blows later. Really depends on the situation. Doesn't do anything for our damage, does do a little bit for our AoE, though, which is nice, so we're still at 47.5 at this point. Level 7, we get Evasion. Evasion is a standout in amongst many of the tanking features that monks get as they go through the levels. And if you make a dex save, if you fail a dex save, you take half damage. If you succeed in a dex save, you take no damage. This is so powerful when you're building for dex already. It's amazing. Doesn't do anything for our damage, but it is good. At level 8, we get another feat. I've chosen to go for Charger. I like the idea of running into a creature and hitting it with that attack, grabbing it at the same time, and then continuing to beat down. It's good. It means that we also get a bit of a speed boost when we dash, which can be really, really powerful. It lets us boost our dex to 19. And it also means we get an extra d8 of damage. So our damage now goes up to 52.5, which is very respectable indeed. Level 9, we're still at 52 damage. Nothing wrong with that, of course. But we get acrobatic movement, so we can also run on walls and run on water as well. That's why I said that the rat's climb speed wasn't as relevant, but it's not the end of the world. Level 10 is huge for monks. You get a buff to all of your cool bonus actions. You can now get temp health when you use patient defense. You can take a willing creature with you with Step of the Wind, and I cannot stress enough how good that is. And you can now do 3 attacks with your Flurry of Blows instead of 2. With our build being quite heavily leaning into the Flurry of Blows attacks specifically, that is a big damage boost to us, and it bumps us up to 65 at this point. Level 11 gives creatures disadvantage on saves against our Miasmic Plague, making it a lot more consistent, and also allows us to run around with Step of the Wind while infecting creatures with Miasmic Plague as well. It's just cool. Along with that, it boosts our d8 to a d10 for our unarmed strikes, which sees us hopping up all the way to 74. Monks don't normally get this kind of damage boost, but where we're rolling so many martial arts die in general with our attacks now, it's a much more notable boost to our damage. Level 12 is, you can pretty much go with whatever you want here. I've gone for Focused Critical because it's a pet favorite of mine. Ultimately, Iron Hero could also be good. There are a bunch of cool dex feats. Mage Slayer as well might be a fantastic choice, depending on the kind of campaign you're in. This gets our dex to 20, which is always good because it caps out that stat and our damage stat, and it means we can crit on a 19 or 20 as well. Monks hit so frequently that ability becomes a lot more relevant, and it actually means that we've got a 19% chance to crit per hit if we have advantage, and a 65% chance to crit per turn. I'm not factoring the crit damage in, but it does boost our damage up to 79, and if you are to crit, you're rolling 4d10 most of the time, which is not bad at all. It will feel fun to do from a tactile sense. Level 13 sees us going from deflect attacks to deflect energy. This lets us deflect any attack that comes in at us. It's amazing. And it really sees the shift of the monk into a far tankier class from this point onwards. On that subject of being tanky, we get Disciplined Survivor at level 14. This gives us proficiency in all saving throws, which is preposterously powerful. And on top of that, we can expend a focus point to reroll any save we make that we fail. At this point, remember, you have 14 focus points. You have to use 1 per flurry of blows and 1 per miasmic plague, so you're using maybe 2 a turn on average, which gives you 7 turns of very consistent damage, along with the option to do all of the other stuff that monks can do. Level 15 gives us perfect focus. I've never used this feature with my monk because even with the Astral Self monk that my one is, you just don't get through all of your focus points in a fight because you're hitting hard a lot and it just hasn't been relevant. The Astral Self Monk is relevant in this aspect because you do end up spending 5 focus points to activate your subclass feature at level 17 onwards. But even with that, I just haven't been using them all. If you do have no focus points though, and you also don't use your uncanny metabolism, the ability which lets you regain all of your focus points, you can regain, you basically go up to 4 focus points if you didn't have that many, which for this class is 2 rounds of all-in focus pointing. Level 16, I've gone for a unique choice here, just for the fun of it. I've gone for Fey Touched. Fey Touch lets us boost our wisdom, which is always useful. It means we're up to 16 wisdom now instead of 15. It also lets us get 1 free casting of Misty Step per long rest, which is never a bad thing, and also 1 free casting of Hunter's Mark. Assuming you spend your first turn just hitting things and then casting Hunter's Mark and then hitting things, your second turn will then be a lot stronger, with 96.5 being the average damage because you're rolling an extra 5d6 on top of all the other things that you are doing. Level 17 is another huge boost in damage for this subclass specifically. I think it is with most classes. The Astral Self gets an extra attack and 2 extra AC at this level, basically. You not only get a boost to a d12 from a d10, which is only 1 damage per dice roll, but again, you're rolling a lot of dice rolls at this point. It also lets you use the extra damage from the Miasmic Plague thing on every single flurry of blows hit, basically. Which means that you are now doing just so much extra damage. You're rolling on your first attack 1d12 plus 1d8 plus 1d6 for the Charger and Hunter's Mark. The extra attack is 2d12 plus 1d6. And then the flurry of blows are all 3d12 plus 1d6, which is a lot of dice. It means that our damage jumps up to 125 in total, and again, you've got a preposterous crit chance as well. Level 18 turns you into a barbarian. For just 3 focus points, you gain resistance to all damage types except for force. You can do this for free at the beginning of your turn, and it lasts for a minute or until you're incapacitated. This is good, as it turns out. Epic boons are... I don't really like most of the epic boons, if I'm being honest. I think the epic boons, if you're using the Grim Hollow transformations, are really, really good. I don't love them otherwise. I would consider the Boon of Fortitude, the Boon of Combat Prowess, the Boon of Dimensional Travel, or the Boon of Recovery, which is the one that I've landed on. I believe I boosted Con by 1 here, but you can boost whatever you want, really. This one lets you basically not die once per long rest, and also you get a bunch of d10s you can roll to heal yourself. A little bit more tanking goes a long way. Our final level is Body and Mind, and it's probably one of the best capstones in the game. It mimics the Barbarian capstone, which is just you get 4 points in your 2 main stats, which is Dex and Wisdom. Boosts our Dexterity up to 24, our Wisdom up to 20, I believe we are at now. And it also means we get a +7 to our damage rolls, which is very tasty indeed. It means we're doing 135 points damage on average across 5 attacks. Each attack has roughly a 19% chance to crit as well, which means that statistically you're going to crit with one of them, even though it's a 65% chance to crit over the course of a turn. Maths is weird. But this puts it ahead of most martial builds that I could theoretically do. This subclass is definitely more designed for damage than a lot of them are, but it's still kind of staggering how good the new monk is, because along with all of that damage, you've also got resistance to every single damage type, proficiency in every single saving throw, the ability to re-roll your saving throws when you fail them. You can run around just infecting everyone with plague if you want to. You can do an emanation attack of 2d12 to every single creature in a 20-foot radius. It's just amazing. And you've got incredible mobility of, I believe it's 55 feet. Maybe it goes up to 60. Let me check. Yeah. At this point, we are at 60 feet, actually, which is just really, really powerful. I hope you enjoyed this particular build. I really do like the monk. I'll probably do some other monk builds as well. I want to do more single class builds. It's so easy to just throw in a couple levels of fighter or 3 levels of fighter and champion and call it a day for these kinds of builds. I think it's more interesting and maybe more relatable to go for single classes. Let me know if you multi-class or not. I'm currently toying with the idea of multi-classing with an Artificer I'm playing, the new Forge Adept. I can't decide because on one hand, I don't love some of the features you get for the Artificer after level 5. On the other hand, they're good enough a lot of the time to justify sticking with the class. It's tricky. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the Master Splinter build I put together. Yes, that is what I called it. I am a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. I've been writing about it for work anyway, so why not? If you did enjoy this, please like and subscribe. I hope that you take care and that you have fun until whenever I see you next. And that'll do for me. Goodbye.